Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Mrs. White's At Home Read Alouds. Make sure you have a pencil and paper or a sibling or adult to talk to. This is the chapter book edition. Today, we are going to read Chapter 3 of the Buried Bones Mystery. So if you remember where we left off, make sure you listen to chapters 1 and 2 first. The boys just decided to make a clubhouse because, and remember, their basketball court got destroyed, which is why they had to come up with this new idea of making a clubhouse. The four boys ran up the street to Ziggy's house, tossing the dinosaur between them as they went. They headed for the backyard, which was almost like a real jungle. The grass was never cut. It was a place where flowers, weeds, rabbits, and 10-year-old boys could grow wild. An old rope swing still hung from a tree, even though the tree had died years ago. A path, probably used by raccoons, ran back into the thick underbrush. At the very end of this path was what was left of an old wooden fence. Ziggy explained to his friends that the fence had once been a property divider, but now was just fallen lengths of wood. It must have been about 6 feet high and 100 feet long when it was first built. Now it was sitting in the sun, waiting to be a clubhouse for the black dinosaurs. Remember, that's what they named themselves. "So what do you think?" asked Ziggy. "No one can see us from the house. It's a perfect place to plan spy missions." "It's hot," complained Jerome, "and I hate bugs and thorns." "So as soon as it's built, we'll put air conditioning, okay?" said Rashawn. Jerome grinned. "You make sure you do, and while you're at it, put a swimming pool in, too." "Sure, Jerome," said Rico, smiling as he sat on one of the fence boards. Ziggy's backyard always amazed him. Rico's tiny little backyard with its neat rows of pansies and petunias was nothing like this wonderful jungle. It was a place to dream and to create, a perfect place for a secret clubhouse. Rico looked at his friends. "We're going to have to plan this out carefully. We need to borrow tools from home, and we have to remember to bring ice water or punch whenever we're working. There's plenty of wood here, and it won't be hard to put these large sections together to make a clubhouse. It can even have a door and a window." "I knew it!" shouted Ziggy. "The black dinosaurs are now in business." They spent the next few days cutting the weeds and bushes to make a clearing big enough for the clubhouse. Jerome's grandmother gave them rakes and garden shears, and Ziggy's mom kept a jug of Jamaican iced tea on the back steps. They finally talked Rashawn's father into letting them use his tools, and after many reminders from Rico's mom about being careful and avoiding snakes, the clubhouse began to take shape. For the back wall, they used a part of the fence that was still standing and sturdy. Connecting the other parts to it was a little shaky at first, but somehow Rico seemed to know what would hold and what angle would work. They cut holes that looked a lot like windows in the two side walls, and for the door, they used a smaller section of the fence that fit perfectly into another hole that Rico cut. They closed it with a bent piece of wire coat hanger. Rashawn looked a little worried. "How are we going to put a roof on it?" "Never fear, I have a plan," Rico replied with a smile. Lifting the roof was the hardest part because the piece of fence they used was very heavy. Plus, it had been covered with little brown bugs that scrambled everywhere when they lifted it up. Jerome had threatened to quit right then, but Rico ran home and got a can of bug spray, and they were able to get the roof on with the help of 2 stepladders, a 2x4 balanced on a rock, and quite a bit of luck. The clubhouse was finished on Friday morning. Rico and Rashawn grinned at each other with satisfaction. Ziggy bounced with excitement, going in and out of the windows and opening and closing the front door over and over again. Jerome sat on the dirt floor, a cold glass of iced tea in one hand and a can of bug spray in the other, quietly nodding his head in approval. The clubhouse was about 10 feet by 12 feet, not really big, but large enough for 4 boys to sit and talk. Ziggy, looking around with satisfaction, announced, "Let's bring the chairs in." "I found a lawn chair that my dad was going to throw out," offered Rashawn. "It's a little bent, but it'll do." Rico dragged in a chair that had been left behind at a church picnic, and Jerome had found a 3-legged kitchen chair. "We can use a rock to balance it," he suggested. Ziggy grinned as he brought in an old bicycle with 2 flat tires. "The kickstand still works, man." This was their seating arrangement, or they could push everything aside and sit on the blanket that Ziggy's mom had left on the back steps. She never asked questions and never asked to see what they were doing, but she always seemed to know exactly what they needed. So here's a picture of them putting the clubhouse together. You can see they're trying to put the roof on here. You can see it looks like an old fence. Hanging from the ceiling by a string around its neck, they couldn't figure out any other way to do it, was Rashawn's dinosaur. Jerome stared at the dinosaur. Really mellow. Awesome, said Rashawn. You ought to be an architect, Rio. It turned out just like you said it would. How'd you know that? I don't know, Rico shrugged his shoulders. I just feel it, and most of the time it works. We gotta have our first meeting and make up rules, said Ziggy. Okay, the first meeting of the Black Dinosaurs is officially called to order. Rule 1. Everyone who comes into the clubhouse must first touch Rashawn's dinosaur, for good luck. Good idea, agreed Jerome, but he needs a name. His name, Rashawn proclaimed, rising from his seat in the three-legged chair, is Blackosaurus. Blackosaurus it shall be, Ziggy proclaimed with a bow to Rashawn. Now, for the secret password. It should change every day, suggested Jerome. No, just every week, said Rico, because we won't meet every single day. Okay, man, agreed Ziggy. What's the password for this week? How about Tuskegee, said Rashawn. That's a good one, agreed Rico. Don't forget it now. No one will be admitted into the clubhouse without the password. Accepted, said Ziggy. He was really enjoying his role as monitor of the meeting. Should we have officers, like a president and a treasurer? Asked Jerome. No, let's just take turns. Whoever is sitting on the bike is president for that meeting, suggested Rico. Sounds good to me, said Ziggy, who was sitting on the bike. Now, what about a secret handshake? That's stupid, said Jerome. We don't need that. Okay, said Ziggy. We do need treasures, though. At the next meeting, we will each bring one official treasure to be donated to the Black Dinosaurs. Jerome looked at his watch and said, We better hurry up and adjourn this meeting. I gotta babysit. Agreed, said Ziggy. We'll meet again tomorrow at noon with the treasures. And that's the end of chapter 3. All right, so time to think. What treasure would you bring to the secret clubhouse and why? What treasures do you think the boys will bring to the secret clubhouse and why? Go ahead and press pause and write or discuss. All right, that was the end of chapter 3 of the Buried Bones Mystery. I hope you enjoyed and that you come back for more soon. Have a great day.